Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 5-Off 5-On Racing Show. Another fun-filled week we have. Racing is getting underway in the touring levels. Well, it has been. But the icebreaker at the Thompson Motorsports Park seems to be the kickoff of the racing season for the local people and the regional people. It just seems to be the event that everybody looks forward to, the icebreaker, breaking the ice to go race. So we'll have the results of that later on. But, you know, I've been to a lot of icebreakers. I didn't attend this one. And, you know, it's just looking at the car count, looking out who was there, who wasn't there. It's not what it used to be. And I know I say that week after week. Because a lot of stuff isn't what it used to be. But I got to ask, what's going on with racing? Not only in the regional and the weekly level, but also in the top level, the top three. I watched good parts of the events, the Sprint Cup events at Texas Motor Speedway, and not only did I see a lot of empty seats, I saw a lot of empty seats, and I just don't understand that. You know, they put the race at nighttime so it's not as hot, whatever. A lot of people think they're competing against the weekly people, but it's not. You know, sit in Texas. Anybody? I worked in Dallas, Fort Worth back in '93, '94, and it gets hot. It gets hot there. And I don't know. There's just something wrong with the car counts. And speaking of missing from the event, the icebreaker, Wade Cole was absent. Johnny Bush subbing for him in the 33. Wade Cole had a situation, a medical situation, where he could not see out of one of his eyes. It was very blurry. And, of course, you have to be able to see to go racing. And he went to the doctor, and they did emergency surgery to repair a situation in his eye. So getting well wishes go out to Wade Cole. Johnny Bush subbing had some mechanical issues into the race and finished, I believe, 32nd. With some overheating and missing problems. But, you know, thank you to Johnny Bush was standing in. But, you know, it's just kind of, I don't know what to say, it's just kind of interesting to see what's going on in racing. But, you know, I don't know. And like WJ from iRace.com was saying, it was a caution-filled event. And that happens. And cautions breed cautions. And in my opinion, I think sometimes the NASCAR people in the tower, we'll say, are a little quick to put that caution out, all in the interest of safety, and sometimes they're a little slow to put the caution out. But, you know, I've always said this. I've always said this because, you know, when it comes to cautions, I know when I was up in the tower, I tried to avoid a caution at all. If a competitor spun and he or she is sitting in turn 1, turn 2, 3, 4, middle, you know, the backstretch, it just seems like as soon as you drop the caution, they go again. They go. And you know what? Now that caution is going to cost you at least 6 laps. Of course, not the competitor, but the race, 6 laps on the caution, because you're going to have a lap that everybody gathers up and the caution car picks up the field. Then you're going to have a lap for the lead lap cars to pit. Then you're going to have a lap for the lap cars to pit. Then you're going to have a lap to get the field back in order. And then you're going to have a 1 to go at the line. So there's 5 right there. That's without a cleanup. You know, and I mean, I wasn't there, so I don't know if they were good calls or bad calls. But, you know, WJ was there, and I thank him for his input, that, you know, all the yellows were good calls. And but it just seems to be that, you know, sometimes you need to hold off a little bit. You need to hold off on that caution, unless there's a debris situation or a dangerous situation. You know, think about it. You have a 150 lap race and you have 6 cautions. That's 25, 30 laps on the yellow. And how many times you go, you have a caution, everything's lined up, go green, and 2 laps later you have another caution. You know, and then to put them in single file, you know, that, which is not the cure-all. Let's just put them in single file now, you know. And then the weekly tracks do that often, sometimes early on in the events. I'm not for that, especially on the shorter tracks when you have that single file. It's tough enough to pass without being in single file. All right, so anyway, and I see Kevin Basic, Long Island E for Speed, has jumped in. He's on his way to the firehouse. Kevin Basic, a local volunteer firefighter with his local fire department, always pops in and says hello before and after his meetings. And I got the Let's Go Ranger login, who's all excited that the Rangers ended up with the best record in the NHL. And we'll see what happens in the Cup. So going for the Cup. But anyway, that's hockey. We're a racing show. Anyway, so what's going on in racing? Well, I'll tell you. We have a little situation. J.D. Gibbs, president of Joe Gibbs Racing, began treatment last week for an unspecified condition. So that's not good. When they say it's an unspecified condition. This condition has impacted his speech and mental processing in recent weeks. He's 46 years old, the son of team owner Joe Gibbs. He went underwent tests recently after experiencing these symptoms. I'll say that 3 times fast. And his doctors say are likely linked to previous head injuries. Now, this happens in the NFL. You see some guys, when they get older and the wits are starting to bottom. Boxers, they say they're punch drunk. Your head could just take so many bangs. Just so many bangs. And here's a guy, I don't know what head injuries he had over the years, but, sometimes you end up with that post-concussion syndrome. I know it ended the hockey career of Pat LaFontaine in his prime. Because, sometimes you get that situation and, one more blow to the head and you're done, you're a vegetable. It's not good. So our prayers go out to J.D. Gibbs for a speedy recovery and hope everything works out for him. But it's just sad to see that. It's sad to see that. It's just tough. Young guy, 46 years old. But you can't play around with these things. You have a situation like Wade. It was a little blurry in his eye. He went and got it taken care of. Thank God he caught it when he did. Otherwise, it could have been bad. So, racing. Especially as a race car driver, whether you're a team owner or a crew guy or whatever you do in racing, your health has to be where it has to be. It has to be good, and you have to be in good shape. And now they're requiring down to the touring levels medical clearance from your doctor to go racing. I got my email that I have to go fill out mine and go to the doctor and have it checked out, and then you get cleared by your doctor. And then you send that up to NASCAR, and NASCAR then, I'm sure goes by the advice of your doctor. Your doctor says you're good to go. It kind of takes the onus off of them. I'm sure that's one of the reasons that they've done that. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that need to have that. They need some medical clearance. They need to see what's going on with them, physically and mentally. And I hope part of that medical clearance is drug testing. There's a few people that just shouldn't be race cars, and they shouldn't be at racetracks, and they sure as heck shouldn't be officials. But that's just my opinion, and I'll stick to it anyway. But yes, Kevin, we will see you Saturday. Thank you. So racing, the modified tour was at Thompson for the annual Icebreaker, and I was looking at the Thompson schedule this just recently. Area Auto News puts out a nice insert that lists just about every track you can think of, every series, and puts out their schedule. And I'm looking at the Thompson schedule, the Thompson Motorsports Park schedule. And here's what used to be a weekly track. I'm looking at the schedule, and I only see 7 shows. I thought I would see more road course activity because that's what they built, and that's what they kind of backed away from the weekly stuff. And 7 shows, 4 involving the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. And looking at that schedule as a competitor that lives in that area, that leaves them 7 shows to run a car, 7 shows from now through the middle of October. Now, I have to ask, as a businessman, as a former car owner, former driver, well, I guess, various different levels and aspects in racing. Why would I, as a businessman, build a car for 7 events? It doesn't make sense. How do you go to a sponsor? Hey, we have this track over here, in Peconic Bay, Speedway, and I'm going to race 7 times. And God forbid there's a rain out. Now that's 6. And sometimes how the weather is in the Northeast. You're bound to have a rain out or two. So I kind of wonder why they would have a schedule such as that. And they built this beautiful road course, and I saw nothing on the schedule about a road course activity. Maybe I missed it, and I'm sure I'll be, corrected. And WJ said the road course is a club. So not many scheduled events will open all the time when NASCAR isn't there. So, at least is the club just going to go there and have a private session? I'm not privy to that. I'm not in the end with NASCAR, so to speak, or at the Thompson Motorsports Park for that matter. So, here we go. They built this facility, and this club is going to rent it out, and they're going to have their little private events, and that's all well and good. But what happens to the guys and gals who built race cars to go racing in a weekly series? What do they do with their equipment now? What do they do? Because the way the rules are written, and this was something that was done years ago, the late Big Bob O'Rourke did the same thing. When he made rules for his racetrack, not that he owned it, I want to clarify that, but his racetrack where he was the race director, whatever title you want to bestow upon him, it was such that the rules, you could not take your race car somewhere else and go racing. Long Island late models, back in the ISA Speedway days and up to the present, there's not too many places they could race those race cars. Charger cars, where do you race? Blunderbuss. I don't know any racetrack that has a blunderbuss type of race car at their facility. So, so what's happened now is the competitors get hurt. And I would like to see, and maybe this is, going to my little rant a little early. I would like to see standardized rules for the weekly racing series, so that you have the same types of vehicles, so that if I'm not happy at my local racetrack, and if I want to travel to wherever, I could go and fit into some kind of race, series or class. And I know some of them go to Waterford, but I know the engine rules are different, because I looked into this when I was looking to do some modified racing myself, SK, I'm going to say SK type racing, because you can't call them SKs at Thompson. They're called Sunoco Modifieds, and you can't call SKs, because something about Stafford owns the name SK Modified. But anyway, that's a whole other story. And you can go to in racing as a factory stock, some of the blunderbuss cars. However, you're at such a weight disadvantage. There's just so much weight you can take out of these things. I know some people who have done that or attempted that. So I would like to see at least, a standardized set of rules for at least the top 3 classes in each weekly racetrack. You have your modifieds. Most tracks have a modified of some sort, whether it's a Tour type modified, an SK type modified. I think upstate New York, some of them call it SST modified. It's a modified, all right? But I'd like to see it. Then see like late model class, where you have, similar rules so that you could still be competitive. And then even like a street stock class. Anything else should be considered an outlaw class. And if there's enough vehicles in the pit area, or they know they're going to get enough vehicles in the pit area, make it an outlaw race. And it's almost like a run with your brum. That's just my opinion. And I think that's where we need to be. But anyway, we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Modified Tour event at the Thompson Motorsports Park this past weekend when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Russ Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, welcome back. Yeah, Thompson Motorsports Park for the annual Icebreaker of the Whelen Modified Tour was there. Doug Colby started on the pole, finished in that position, winning the race. Woody Pitkat second, Bobby Santos was third, Ted Christopher fourth, Ryan Priest fifth, Timmy Salamino sixth, Eric Goodale seventh, Donnie Lee was eighth, Ronnie Silk ninth, and Todd Zagady rounding out the top 10. A little scary incident in practice. Rowan Pennick popped the wall and fire broke out, and quite a large fire from the pictures I saw. Rowan was able to pull out his backup car, but you know, a lot of people, you know, and I say this, you know, because I got mangled in a race car, you know, many years ago, 19 years ago. People complain about what NASCAR, oh, they mandate this rule, they mandate that rule. It's going to cost this is going to cost that. Why do I have to do this? I'm uncomfortable, you know. Everything did its job with Rowan. And somebody got on one of the social media sites and was saying, you know, what about the kill switch? I say, we don't call it a kill switch, it's an interrupter switch, it shuts the motor down. But think about it, you're going 100 and I'll say 130, 140 miles an hour. That's 200 feet a second. So by the time you realize there's a situation and shut it down, you're still going 120 miles an hour. All it does is shut the motor off. It doesn't stop the race. It doesn't stop on a dime because you hit a button. So that knucklehead that was, you know, complaining and griping how that interrupter switch didn't do its job. It did its job. It shut it down. I don't know, some people would have this false sense of security that interrupter switch that's on the steering wheel, and you got a situation, you hit it, you know, basically what that's saying is your throttle's stuck and your motor's screaming, it shuts it down. But you know, you come off the corner, you're in the power groove and you're going, and something happens, whether you blow a tire, something breaks the suspension, and you right turn into the fence, you can hit that switch all you want, it's not going to stop the race car. So, you know, it's just some people that just want to, you know, and I call, you know, I got to be careful here because You got a person with this much knowledge, this much, maybe if they're lucky, and they're going to bash a rule. They're going to bash a rule and question a rule. And it's probably coming from a person who never sat in a race car. Maybe they sat in one, but they never competed in a race car, never crashed one, and never put one back together. It's I call them fence grabbers. They're on the fence watching the races every week, watching the races, holding the fence. What do they call them? Monday morning quarterbacks in football. Everything did its job. Rowan got out of the car, was able to go race his backup car. Years ago, a crash like that, you might not be racing that day or the week after, or maybe even the month after. So everything did its job. So my hat's off to the safety people and safety inspectors that inspect these cars in NASCAR. They're the unsung heroes of racing, not only in the touring series, but at every level. And people think, when they tell you to change something, oh, what are you breaking my chops for? They're not breaking your chops. They're hoping your chops don't get broken. They're there to make sure that the race cars are safe, that you're safe, and that nobody else gets injured besides yourself. And over the years, I've never questioned a rule change that has to do with safety. You're always constantly and continuously improving. But I've said a couple of times, why does it always have to be a reactive rule change? Some of these things need to be a little proactive, and you know what happens. And there's all these kinds of tests after test after test. And I was at the R&D center. I watched them roll a race car down a hill, down the side of a hill, and it got all mangled up. And believe it or not, there was a person in it. And what they were practicing was the extrication part of getting a person out. So, they do work on those things. But my question is this, or my statement, maybe that's not a question, it's a statement. Modifieds are a different type of ball game. There's not a lot of room inside. It's hard to get in and out of them under normal conditions. So, what are you going to do? I don't know. I think it's just one of those things. And yeah, let's go Rangers. And you're not totally wrong there. I know. Fire suits. When were fire suits mandated? Fire suits were mandated because guys are getting burned up. And those early fire suits really weren't, of course, not as good as they are today. It was basically just like a set of coveralls dipped in some kind of stuff that was fire retardant. That's basically what the original fire suits were. But you look at old pictures. You look at the days of Fireball Roberts and Ned Jarrett and those guys and Curtis Turner. Those guys had their dress slacks on, their dress shoes, maybe some wore slippers because they thought it was lighter. I know a guy who raced with these they look like slippers, but anyway. And they had a T-shirt on and they had the sleeves rolled up, and that's how they went racing. And, you look at the fire suits today, they'll save you in a fire. It might get hot. It might get real doggone hot, but you're not burning. And when you look at these fire suits today, the mistake a lot of people make, and they'll go out and get the best fire suit money could buy. But if you don't have the associated underwear that goes with it, you're asking for trouble. And here's why. And I've seen this happen. Most underwear has nylon in it, whether it's in the waistband, on the leg bands, whatever. Not in boxer shorts, of course, but even the T-shirts, there's nylon in a T-shirt, even 100% cotton ones. And what happens with that is it melts. It melts. And I've seen the results of underwear melting. The fire suit did its job. The person didn't get burned from flames, but their underwear, the band, the waistband, melted into their skin and had to be kind of torn back. Think about it. You can go out and have the best fire suit there is, spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on a fire suit, and go to Kmart and get some tidy whities, and it's not going to work. Same thing with socks. Have the right socks. Don't wear the nylon socks, those gym socks some of the guys and gals wear. They're going to melt, right? They're going to melt, and you want to do that. And I think that's one of the reasons why NASCAR stopped giving out wristbands to drivers, because they're made out of plastic, and one And I don't recall the track or the individual, but it was a weekly racing series where the person was involved in a wreck. There was a fire, and their gloves did the job, but the wristband melted to their wrist. So, you know, but anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but, you know, all the safety stuff did its job in Roman Pennock's crash. And I saw pictures of the wreck, and I saw pictures afterwards, and the car was pretty much torched on one side, on the right side of the car. So, like I said, thank God he was able to get out, and the safety crews did their job, and the safety equipment did its job. So that's all good. But and I got to agree again. You know, I'm going to reiterate this. Let's go Rangers. You just put that in, so I had to say it as an Islander fan. But it's it's unfortunate that those kind of rules come out, and what was happening. I know, you know, let's go back to years ago, back in the 30s and the 40s with the old midget cars. They didn't wear seatbelts, and they'd be in a crash, they'd be thrown from the car because they thought that was better than being mangled in the race car. Get thrown from it and go rolling, maybe you break an arm or a leg or something. But so then they come out with seatbelts. Now what's happening is cars are rolling over, and because they're strapped into the car, they're breaking their necks because there's no roll bar. So they put a roll bar on. Then the roll bar evolved into a roll cage, and so forth and so on. And you know the rest. You know the rest. It's just one of those things. But you know, you look at those things and you wonder, you know, why does it have to be reactive? Why can't it be proactive? And again, there's a couple of things that I would love to see in a modified. I'd love to see roof flaps and roof hatches, I should say, not roof flaps. That, you know, again, a Tour type modified or an SK type modified hits the wall driver's side first. There's not a lot of room between what the Nerf bar is and the window, as opposed to the right side of the car, where it's a little offset. And you know, you go smash it in, and the Nerf bar's up in the driver's window, and like, now, how does he or she get out? There's not a lot of room for them to crawl through the passenger side window because there's a deck here. Your MSD boxes are there. Your fire extinguisher stuff is there. There's a lot of stuff there. And the window opening is only, I believe, 13.5 inches. And I think that's the minimum. So now they got to try to climb through there. And God forbid they're injured or unconscious. How do the work people get to them? I'm telling you that, similar to the window net, a quick release, the roof just pops up. Now they can get in if they need to. Now the competitor can get out if they need to. It makes sense to me. It really does. But I guess we're going to have to wait till somebody can't get out. And then maybe I shouldn't say this, God forbid, but, you know, you're going with the Let's Go Rangers guy, you know, are we going to wait until we can't get somebody out of the race car because the driver's side of the modified is crunched up against the wall? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there. But I do know that it's something that needs to be looked at. It was always one of my concerns as an official. And when I finally do get my butt into the seat of a modified, it's going to be one of my concerns as a driver. If I put it in the fence, driver's side first, you know, I'm not as agile as I used to be. I'm not thinking I'm going to crawl out the back window, which I've seen people do. There's just not a lot of room on these seats. You know, yeah, the seat keeps you in the seat. There's nowhere to go. You're sitting there. You know, you got to lean forward and kind of go this way or that way. So I just wish it, just a quick release, boom, it pops off. Just like the window net. Just like the window net. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and we come back. I'm going to talk about a rumor that's out there flying around, and I'm sure some other people have heard. Maybe not, when we come back.
What's up, guys? We're Scare No Fair, and we're here with Enravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Russ Weller. We're some of the Proto Men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, we're back. You're back. Hey, before I go into the rumor mill. Hey, Daytona International Speedway began removing the iconic, as they call it, Sprint Tower and backstretch grandstands last week as part of the Daytona Rising redevelopment program. So there's going to be some changes. Basically what they're going to do is by moving all seating to the front stretch, fans will have the opportunity to enjoy pre-race ceremonies, pit road action, and the facility's new amenities. Beginning January of 2016, Daytona will feature approximately 101,000 permanent, wider, and more comfortable seats. So that's pretty good. In fact, they're saying at the conclusion of the redevelopment, Daytona International Speedway will also have twice as many restrooms and 3 times as many concession stands as its previous incarnation. So there you go, and there will be 60 luxury suites with trackside views and completely revamped hospitality experience for corporate guests, and hopefully to be done in time for the 2016 Rolex 24 and the Daytona 500. So with that being said, yeah, really, WJ. I read about this rumor in more than just one racing tabloid, and usually these sources are pretty right on, if it has not happened already quietly. The rumor mill is this: Brian France, CEO of NASCAR, will be stepping down. The rumor mill says the reasons, because there's many, are some issues such as the discovery of tire tampering, the belief of race fixing after race phantom cautions took away what appeared to be a win for newly reinstated Kurt Busch, the constant changes of the qualifying format, and other issues. It also goes on to say rumors that France will be selling his shares of International Speedway Corp., which owns the racetracks that they race out other than the ones owned by Speedway Motorsports. He'll be selling his shares because he wants to become an investor to purchase the Jacksonville Jaguars and bring them to their new home, Daytona International Speedway, where a football field would be constructed just inside the tri-oval in front of the 101,000 new seats that are being built for the Speedway. So with that being said, see, nothing is done by accident. Now, maybe this is a business move on his part. I'm sure it is. I don't think he's stepping down because of rule changes and race fixing. That's back in 1948 when NASCAR was first founded. And before that, back in the Ben-Hur days of racing, people said the races are fixed. I don't think so to a degree. It's not like the WWE where, all right, you win this week and you win next week and you're going to lose 3 weeks in a row because when you do win, it's going to be a big deal. No, I don't think it's like that. I don't think. All right? I mean, I do think, but I don't think of that. But you know what? I've quietly said this for the last couple of years. When something's not going right, you got to change something. And in most sports, when there's a lot of problems, you change the people at top. When the Yankees weren't winning, they didn't fire Derek Jeter. When the Yankees weren't winning back in the 70s and the early 80s when Billy Martin was around, they didn't fire Chris Chambliss. They fired Billy Martin, the guy at the top. Hey, you need to disappear. Now, Brian France, third generation, he's got a lot of input, he's not as visible as his dad and his grandfather were, in my opinion. But I think he had a lot to say in the boardroom. I think he had a lot to say in meetings. I think he had a lot of control. I think he saw a vision of where NASCAR needed to be in the modern era. I mean, think about this. Now, you go back 50 years, 60 years when NASCAR came out, 62, so, many, many years ago, 52, 50, almost 67 years ago. Think about that. It was about getting people in the seats, getting cars on the racetrack, and putting on a big race. There was no marketing. It was, maybe the local newspaper had a blurb in it. There was no TV. It took over 30 years for NASCAR to get live TV. Up until then, it was just coverage. ABC's Wide World of Sports. It was coverage of this race, coverage of that race. They showed you the beginning. They showed you some wrecks in the middle. They showed you the end. And they kept you interested that way, And I'll tell you what, I agree with that, WJ. Sometimes you need the controversy to draw fans, but it's not working. The places are empty. But you do need that. You need characters. Bob Finer, everybody knows Bob Finer here in Long Island, is a PR guy, and involved in racing I'm going to say over 30 years. And him and I were talking a long time ago. We were talking about what's missing in at least the weekly racing series. And what's missing is no characters. And it's missing in the top load. There's no characters. There's no rivalries. There's no rivalries anymore. You needed the characters. The old days when you think about the characters and the rivalries. And back in the modified days in the 70s, the Jerry Cook, Richie Evans, battles, the Dro and Charlie Jazambach. Think about those things and think about when and I can only talk about the rivalries. I didn't go to Riverside Park, back in the day. I went to Iser Speedway on Long Island, and I can remember, Jimi Hendrix and Mousy Kempster, Charlie Jazambach, all these guys. They were out there making that bump and a grind, the rivalry, the characters, some of the things that they did, some of the things that they said, but there was no social media, there was no newspapers, there was no TV, and people were going to the racetrack. If you wanted to see what was going on, you went to the racetrack. You didn't go on your computer, and then make your comments. You weren't even there, But that's what's going to draw fans, that kind of stuff. Did Brian France try to make it happen? In my opinion, he did. He did. But I think he was a little too hands-on. I think when you put people in a position, and I just had this conversation on my board, if you're going to put people in a position to run something, put them in the position, shake their hand, and walk away. Let them run it. Let them do their job. If they're not good enough to do it, then get rid of them. Get somebody else. But, it's a control thing, and I know that. But, with Brian France he's a businessman. He went to college to be a businessman. So now he's going to take the money he made in racing at International Speedway Corp with his shares of stock, which were very lucrative. And I'm sure he has a bunch. You could go and find out how many. It's in the tens of thousands, if not more. It's number of shares, not dollars. And when you look at that, you know what? I'm getting tired of this nonsense. I think I'm going to buy an NFL football team. And let me see, I don't need to build a stadium. I already have one, technically. So what I'll do is I'll rent space from them for 8 games a year with 101,000 fans in the seats. See, that was all part of, I think, the master plan. Hey, you know what? If we eliminate, because they're saying that they're doing this so that the fans can all see what goes on pit road, what goes on the front stretch, what goes on in pregame shows, the anthems and the driver-in shows. The people on the back stretch don't see that. They see it on a jumbotron. Remember the first time I sat back there, back in the early 90s, I sat back there, and there was only one tower. It was called the Turn 2 Tower. There wasn't a whole slew of backstretch seats. Turn 2 Tower. I sat back there, and I'm like, what's going on over there? Driver shows. And then you watch it on a jumbotron. You might as well stay in a hotel and watch it home. And let's go Rangers. Nice comment. I mean, Brian France is like James Dolan, born into money and no talent in the business. Think about a family business. Think about it. And I'm not picking on Brian France because I still want to go racing, and his family still runs NASCAR. But think about it. I don't recall him working his way up through the ranks. Family business, you work your way through the ranks. I know the Goodale boys and their business and their family business. They didn't walk in and become managers and start running Riverhead Building Supply. They became guys who swept the floor in the warehouse, guys who put stuff away. And they worked their way up through the ranks based on their abilities to the point now, they're doing very well. That's what they need to do. You need to work your way up through the ranks. You need to be in the trenches. You need to know what the business is all about. The business isn't all about, let's see what the ledger sheet says. This is what we made this week. That's not what the business is all about. The business is all about growing the business and having a working knowledge of the business and or putting people in positions to run that business for you so that it becomes lucrative. Now, he's for whatever reason, looks like he's, according to this story, this article, he's moving on to go into the NFL, make some money, buy a football team, move it to Daytona, and I'm sure the NFL will approve that. Like I said, they don't have to build a stadium. They don't have to worry about traffic patterns. They already have it. They already have it also. Be interesting to see what happens with that. It really will be. So anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll go over the results in Texas and whatever else we want to talk about as we wrap up the show tonight when we come back.
For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
guys, we're Scared on Fair, and we're here with Enravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
Anyway, we're back. Sometimes I have fun in the chat room. Sometimes. Anyway, the Xfinity Series was in Texas. Eric Jones was the winner with Brad Keselowski second. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was third. Reagan Smith fourth. Austin Dillon fifth, followed by Darrell Wallace Jr. Denny Hamlin seventh. Chase Elliott eighth. Chris Buescher ninth. And Ryan Scott was 10th. The trucks are off, and I'll tell you what, they don't go racing again until May 8th. It's like over a month off. What the heck's up with that? I don't understand it. But anyway, that's just how it is. And I forgot the Southern Modified Tour. They raced at Langley. Burt Myers taking out a win with Kyle Ebersol second. Georgie Brunhutzel the third was third. Andy Seiss was fourth. Frank Fleming was fifth. Jason Myers sixth. Jared Bertuccio seventh. Jerry Gerstner was 8th, Gary Putnam 9th, and Bobby Mesmer Jr. rounded out the top 10. The Cup Series, yes, the Cup Series was at Texas. Jimmy Johnson was the winner, followed by Kevin Harvick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Third. Joey Logano fourth, followed by Brad Keselowski. Jamie McMurray sixth. Jeff Gordon seventh. Casey Kane 8th. Martin Truex Jr. 9th. And Carl Edwards rounded out the top 10. So what do we do? What do we do? Yeah, Jay Slice. I'm not even going to say that because I can't say the R word. But I look at schedules and like I said, years ago, you didn't have to look at a schedule. Even the Cup guys, they loaded up their trucks and they started it from their southern North Carolina hometown and they worked their way through the Carolina tracks, the Virginia tracks, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, Long Island, Connecticut, then shoot across. And I shot across the northern part of Pennsylvania, and all the way into Michigan, and shot out west, and then worked their way back, and they came back south. They didn't go home. They didn't go back and forth back then. This is the circuit. They traveled. There was no schedule. I don't know. It just seems that the scheduling today, it's almost like the promoters all went to this seminar, and a person who knew nothing about racing, but was knowledgeable about the NHL or the National League of Baseball, the American League, the NFL. They were knowledgeable about that, and they said you don't want to race every week. You want to give your fans a break. You want to give your competitors a break. You look at schedules sometimes. I look at schedules and I'm like, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? And this is what happens. When this is what happens. And again, this is my opinion. I'm going to be facetious here a little bit. Imagine that. I have a race car. I built a race car. I bought a motor. I've got tens of thousands of dollars invested. And maybe I shouldn't say invested. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars to put this race car on a racetrack. And I'm all excited. I worked all winter long. I'm going to my weekly track. And I get the schedule mailed to me in the mail because I'm old and I don't go online and I don't print out stuff. So I call up, send me a schedule. And I look at it. Wait a minute. There's a 26 race window from April to October. Why am I racing 12 times? So you know what I'll do? Let me call this other track across the sound, or let me cross this other track on the other side of the bridges here in New York, and let me get the rules for there. Well, no, I can't race there because my car don't fit the rules. What am I going to do? All right, so we'll go do what we got to do. We go racing. And I go racing. Oh, wait, it rained on my night. So I had 2 weeks scheduled off. Now it rained on it. Now I have 3 weeks scheduled off. Well, what am I going to do? And you get into the habit of doing something else. And you realize, wow, something else is fun. Oh, wait, I could do something else with my wife and my husband and my children. I don't know if I'm going to go back racing. See what I mean? This is what's happening. And it's happening everywhere. They must have went to a seminar, all the weekly promoters, and said, don't race every week. Don't race every week because, give your competitors a break. Yeah, well, there were a couple of people that wanted maybe to write letters and emails and called up, oh, please, we need weeks off, we need weeks off, we need family time. The people this is what cracks me up, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I know an individual who went into their local racetrack office, into the promoters, the owners, track operators, whatever you want to call them, and complained that the schedule was too much. It was too much. Can't we have less of a schedule? This way, we could schedule family stuff around it, and maybe catch a wedding, and go to the beach, or go to picnics, or maybe take a vacation. And I guess these track operators sit back and go, you know what? Maybe that's a good idea, because this way you save on your equipment, you're not tearing your stuff up, and your cost of race is cut in half because you get the half marathons. And those same people are at the racetrack on their nights off. They're the ones that said they can't afford to go every week. So let's go. No, see, I don't know. I don't know. And like Jay Slice says, he found other things. WJ is local racetrack. The feature division has a week off. They already have 2 weeks off because the tour is there that they can't run for points. Now they have a week off. Think about that in the scheme of things for the state points and the national points and the regional points. Think about that. 3 weeks that those points aren't counted. You don't even have a shot. You don't even have a shot. Well, why is this? Does anybody think of those things? Does anybody think, hey, let's race every week. Whoever shows up, shows up. That's what you have. That's in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't value my opinion, but you know what? I'm a businessman, and think about it. I'm in the milk business now. I'm in the milk business. Why would I decide, you know what? I'm not going to sell whole milk next week. That's what they're saying when they give a division off. That's what they're saying. That's revenue. That's revenue. Think about it. You have 15 race cars in that division that you just gave off. That's at least 30 people in the pits, minimum, because the driver's not coming by himself. He's coming with at least one person to help him. And those people have spouses who are in there. So that's 4. So that's 60 people. 60 people. 60 people times $30. That's $1,800. You don't need $1,800? 6 times? That's 12 grand. Do the math. It costs you nothing, really, to open up the gates and bring a race division into a racetrack. It costs you nothing because what happens is, and a lot of competitors don't understand this, you're paying your own purse. When you sign in, you pay your pit fees and pay this fee, that fee, the other fee. You're paying your own purse. And these twin races that some racetracks have, supposed to make up for it. I guess, but they didn't last year. I mean, think about it, Think about that. If you have 3 twin races, I guess you could have 3 weeks off. But you know what? Why not have 3 twin races? Because they don't do double points anymore, which I think I finally explained to the certain people why you had double points, and that NASCAR doesn't recognize double points. And it's caused situations where the track champ was not the NASCAR champ in that division. But anyway, that's a whole other thing, how nobody thought about that scenario. But, a twin race, that's a joke too. That's a joke too. Let's go halfway. Let's throw a yellow checker halfway. Okay. Let's stop on the backstretch. Okay. Let's have the scores, put them in line. Okay. Want to go at the line. Whoop. It's a whole race in a race. If it was a true twin race, there'd be a double payoff. There'd be a double payoff, and you'd get real points. And the way the points work out, now they're only getting half points, and it's based on how many cars. The new weekly point format is I know why it was done. It was to stop some of these racetracks that to just put cars on the racetrack, so it looked like they have a lot of cars on the track. But anyway, that's a whole other story. We got to almost wrap up. But I don't know. No, it's not. And your insurance, a NASCAR track, your insurance is NASCAR. You pay a sanction fee. Whatever that fee is every week, you pay a sanction fee, whether you have one car or 1,000 cars. What changes is what goes into the point fund. And it's based on, I believe it's 5% of the purse paid goes into the point fund, which gets sent to NASCAR. And that NASCAR check that you get in mid-season, mid-off-season is from that percentage. I'm not sure if it's 3% or 5%, but I believe it's 5%. But anyway, oh well. We're going to be wrapping up here. I just want to say next week will be the official day that we air our 200 show. We have a lot planned going on for that. Make sure you tune in. There are some people that are being invited, and some people are going to be watching from the sidelines. And that's I'm not trying to leave anybody out, but there's just so much room at the table here. But anyway, it would be a good show next week. Tune in and tell your friends and family and anybody else to tune in. 200 shows. They said it wasn't going to last, and here we are. It's over 200 shows. I bet you WJ has a count. It's, we got 200 shows. That's 4 years of doing this stuff. And I'm still having a good time with it. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. It's been fun. It's always is fun. And I want to wish everybody a nice week. And be safe. Be safe. Have fun. Tell somebody you love them. God bless you all. And we'll see you next week for our anniversary show. Thanks for tuning in.